But speaking of the Gold Cup, because I kind of just undermined it a little bit, obviously comparison to the World Cup, and I know that a lot of players have expressed themselves in a very interesting manner when it comes to playing the Gold Cup. Here's what Jesse Marsch has to say about it. There's been a certain dialogue with certain teams in the region about the Gold Cup and whether players want to come or not. I haven't had one discussion that's been like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. Shaq, what do you make of this?
I totally understand what Jesse Marsch is saying. And listen, I think, granted, different nations sitting within CONCACAF have different views about the Gold Cup. And certainly with their approach, especially with the tournament every 2 years and how those cycles work and given preparations for the World Cup. Certainly me representing Trinidad and Tobago, every time there was a Gold Cup, it was an opportunity for us to get our best team on the park, to put our best foot forward. The likes of US and Mexico maybe did not feel that every single 2-year cycle and wanted to rotate, kind of given what was to come for them and where they were in their own processes. That's totally different. Jesse Marsch is making the point that with his players, nobody is questioning whether they have to be at their absolute best, that they have to perform come this summer, whereas the US may feel a whole lot differently. And I think what he's doing here is kind of feeding into this narrative or maybe an opinion. Maybe it's a misguided opinion, but an opinion that the US men's national team are picking and choosing the games that they want to play in, the games that they show up for, that they're most serious about, that they are to be judged on. And listen, if that's what they're doing, again, totally fine. I just feel that 12 months out from a World Cup in which Mauricio Pochettino was brought in to deliver, he stumbled so far. Last meaningful competition before that, I just feel that there is a lot riding on this. And now, what happens next summer will kind of shade a lot of this 12 months to come, because Pochettino will be US men's national coach come in 12 months' time. There's no question about that. And if the US gets to, as I said, the semi-final, if they do get to the semi-final, all this conversation is null and void and quite quickly forgotten. Do they not? Do they stumble? Do they not deliver on a minimum expectation? Then all of this comes into play. Everything from the time Pochettino took the reins is being questioned, is being probed. Whether players came or didn't, who he had available to him or not, all of a sudden becomes less relevant and more fuel for that fire.
That quote we just saw, and if production does me a favor, put it back up, please, because this is a Tom Hindle quote right here, and this is Jesse Marsch, if you know Jesse Marsch.
Right.
And nobody should be surprised that Jesse Marsch speaks this way or that his team feels this way. Jesse Marsch has these players playing, and rightfully so, with a chip on their shoulder. Great work from Tom Hindle here, getting Jesse Marsch to talk about the U.S., even though he does not like talking about the U.S.
Nor does he mention the U.S.
Nor does he mention the U.S., but you know who he's going after.
Certain region.
And I love it. And he's right.
Of course.
He's absolutely right.
But his team, the Canadian men's national team, have that chip on their shoulder because the coach has that chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
There is no player on that team who doesn't feel like North America talks more about the Americans, like North America talks more about the Mexicans. And there is no player on that team who feels like the Americans or the Mexicans are more than the Canadian national team. And they want to go out there and they want to fight for it. Jonathan David is in the middle of the most important transfer of his life. He doesn't know where he's going to go. Is it going to be Serie A Champions Napoli? Is it going to be elsewhere? He has no idea. He's at this camp. If Alphonso Davies was fit enough, he would be at this camp.
Right.
That's the mentality they have because that's the mentality the coach has. You want to rest? This isn't the team for you. And that's all good and fair if you give them that rest, if that's what you want to establish. But Jesse Marsch, and you could see it in those words, you got to have humility here and you got to come work. This is a team that's a dangerous team and will be a dangerous team in this competition.
Yeah, pointed / hit.